The last Tuesday, Marcus had a system. Every morning at 5:47, not 5:45, not 5:50, he was at his desk. Those 7 minutes after the alarm gave him time to check overnight emails before the New York team came online. His desk cost $1,400. It was a standing desk. He never stood. By 6:15, he had answered 11 emails. By 7:30, he had reviewed quarterly projections. By 8 o'clock, he had eaten something he could not remember. Coffee counted as breakfast. Coffee had counted as breakfast for 9 years. His twin sons, Michael and Joseph, were 4. Marcus knew this because he had written it in the personal section of his calendar, the small gray block between the larger colored blocks that made up his actual life. They had a karate tournament coming up. He had missed the last one. He had missed the one before that too, though he did not remember missing it, which was its own kind of missing. Next one. He told his wife, Dana. He told her this every time. It became a rhythm, like the alarm. Then, on a regular Tuesday in March, Marcus got a call at 4:12 in the afternoon. He let it ring twice because he was on a Zoom. On the third ring, he answered because it was his mother. "Honey," she said, and then went quiet. Marcus knew that pause. He had heard it 10 years earlier when his father died. His mother was calling to tell him someone was dying. It was his mother. She was calling from the hospital. She said she was sorry to bother him. She knew he was busy. The doctor was in the room, and could he come? Marcus looked at his calendar. A 4:30 meeting. A 5 o'clock follow-up. A 6 o'clock dinner reservation he had made to make up for the last one he had missed. Then he closed the calendar. He went to the hospital. His mother lived 2 more weeks. In those 2 weeks, Marcus was late to everything. Meetings, school pickup, his mother's room, sometimes by an hour, sometimes by a morning, because the emails did not stop just because someone was dying. The emails never stopped. He had built a life with no pause button. And now, for the first time, he was angry at it. Not because it had changed, but because he could finally see what it had been taken. His mother did not say, "I told you so." She had told him in 100 smaller ways. She said, "Sit with me." And he sat. She said, "Tell me about the boys." And he tried. But he did not have many new stories. The stories had happened while he was somewhere else. On the last day, she looked at him and said, "You work so hard, Marcus." It was not a compliment. He understood that. She said it the way someone might say, "You ran so fast in the wrong direction." After the funeral, Marcus went back to work. That is what people do. But something had cracked. Not dramatically. There was no movie moment where he flipped the desk or walked into the rain. He simply started noticing the receipts his life had been handing him for years. He noticed the twins looked at him like furniture, always in the room, but not really part of what was happening. He noticed Dana had stopped asking him to be places because asking and being disappointed had become its own kind of exhaustion. He noticed a drawer of letters his mother had written him, birthdays, milestones, small things, many still unopened because they had arrived on busy days, and busy days had become every day. One Tuesday at 3 o'clock, Marcus sat at his $1,400 desk, staring at a glowing screen. The deadline was waiting. The mortgage was waiting. The people counting on him were waiting. And then, quietly, Marcus closed the laptop. He did not quit his job. That would have been a movie. He did not sell everything. He did not move to a cabin. He did not become different overnight. He just closed the laptop at 3 o'clock on a Tuesday, drove to his son's school, and arrived 15 minutes early for the first time in their lives. When Michael and Joseph came out, they saw him and stopped walking. Then they ran. He picked them up. They were heavier than he remembered. They had grown while he was at the desk. "Where's Mom's car?" they asked. "Mom's not here today," Marcus said. "I'm here today." At first, Tuesday afternoons were all he could manage, then Thursdays. Then he started leaving at 5 o'clock on the other days, which was early for him and late for almost everyone else. And something strange happened. The world did not end. The Henderson account did not collapse. The emails waited until morning. His team adapted. His life, the one he thought was too fragile to touch, made room. But leaving work was only the first step. The harder part was coming home to people who had learned how to live without expecting him. He started with Dana, not with flowers, not with a trip, not with an apology that sounded like a speech. One Sunday morning, coffee in both their hands, he sat across from her and said, "I haven't been here. I want to be here. I don't know how yet, but I want to figure it out with you." Dana did not cry. She did not forgive him on the spot. She looked at him for a long time. The way you look at something, you stop trusting. Then she said, "Show me. Don't tell me. Show me." So he showed her. He made breakfast on Saturday mornings. Not well at first. The eggs were too dry. The toast burned. But he was there. Dana started sitting at the counter while he cooked. He asked about her day and practiced actually listening, which meant not drafting emails in his head while she spoke. They started walking after dinner. 15 minutes around the block. No phones. At first it was awkward. Two people who had shared an address, trying to remember how to share a life. Then, one evening, Dana reached for his hand. Marcus almost cried. Not because the moment was big, but because it was small. And he had almost missed the kind of small thing a life is made of. With Michael and Joseph, the work was different. They were 4. They did not process love through speeches. They processed it through time. Marcus learned their teachers' names. He learned Michael hated cafeteria pizza, but loved the library. He learned Joseph was writing a story about a dragon who could not fly. Joseph had shown it to no one. Marcus asked to read it. Joseph said no. He asked again the next week. Joseph said no again. The third time, Joseph handed it over carefully, like someone passing a fragile thing to a person who had dropped things before. Marcus sat on the bedroom floor and read every word. When he finished, he asked, "The dragon who can't fly, what does he do instead?" Joseph said, "He walks. He walks everywhere. And he finds things the flying dragons miss because they're too high up." Marcus nodded. "That's the whole story, isn't it?" Joseph smiled. And Marcus realized he had been missing that smile for years without knowing it. The way you can live beside a river and stop hearing the water. Friday nights became theirs. Dana got the evening to herself. Marcus, Michael, and Joseph made pancakes for dinner because Michael loved flipping them and Marcus loved watching him try. They watched movies. They read stories. Sometimes they sat on the couch without talking, which turned out to be its own kind of being together. It taught the boys their father could be in a room without turning it into a meeting. He went to every karate tournament after that. He was early. He sat in the front row. He took one photo, not 20, because watching through a phone was not the same as watching. At work, the changes were quieter. He stopped answering emails before 7 o'clock in the morning and after 7 o'clock at night. The first week felt impossible. By the third, the world was still turning. By the 6th, a few people on his team started leaving earlier too. Permission often comes from the top, even when no one says it out loud. He started asking a new question before saying yes. Does this need me, or does it need someone? Often, the answer was someone. So he let someone else grow into the work, and he took an hour back. That hour went to Saturday, breakfast, bedtime stories, and walks around the block. A year after his mother died, Marcus took a full week off. Not a working vacation, a real one, no laptop. An out-of-office message that said he would be unreachable, and meant it. They went to a lake his mother had loved. Dana read a novel in 3 days. The boys found tadpoles in the shallows and named everyone. Marcus sat on the dock and did almost nothing.